Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Gibbons and I work in the Centre for Transformative Learning, and with other colleagues Deirdre Murphy and Jessie Waters we work as the Student Engagement and Success Unit, and at the moment we're trying to develop some resources and to respond to frequently asked questions so that it might make your transition into this online environment a little bit easier. So this is a short piece that I want to share with you, which does two things. One shares a little bit of information that was provided from the academic planning group in UL this week, which is week 9, regarding the plans for end of term assessment. And secondly, and for the bulk of this short piece, I want to share some really simple and effective tips for those new to online learning, which was a Twitter post that Eddie Core put together last week, and I think which are really practical and should, be really useful for you in this new environment that we find ourselves in. So this week, in week 9, the academic planning group in UL have communicated a lengthy email discussing the plan for assessment for the remainder of the semester. And there are, as I said, quite a lot of details in the communication that was provided, but there's 2 points specifically that I want to share with you here. And firstly is the consideration that we cannot be sure that our students will have a suitable physical or emotional place to participate in a time-bound, centrally scheduled exam at a predetermined time. So ordinarily when semester exams, end of semester exams take place, they're done within usually a physical location that's nominated for a specific period of time at a particular time. And it is felt at the moment that it's not suitable to complete end of term assessment in that manner. And therefore, remaining assessment points will happen in a way that they will be redeveloped where applicable and made available on the VLE, which is a virtual learning environment, and for the majority of UL students that will be through Solus and or distributed to the students via email. So that has been communication from the academic planning group in UL this week. And it means also that some of you have probably been made aware already by your module leaders about some of the assessment changes that are going to happen given the environment that we're operating in at the moment. And for those of you who haven't heard from module leaders, you can expect to hear from them at the latest by the 6th of April regarding how the assessment for the remainder of your module will be accommodated, given that we won't have the ordinary end of semester exam setup that we would usually have, and that there's a replacement mechanism in place given the COVID-19 situation. So now I want to share with you the 9 tips that, as I mentioned, Eddie Core had on Twitter last week, which I think were really useful and really helpful. So first up, his recommendation, or his insight, I suppose, is that your library log-on gets you access to more than you think. And I think that's a really good point, because the amount and range of resources that are available to us in an online environment through the subscriptions that our libraries have are so extensive that I would really encourage you to go looking at the breadth of those resources over these few weeks. And also for new students, our librarian Jessie Waters, who's the librarian for Student Engagement and Success, is available to you. And also, depending on what faculty you're in, there's faculty librarians that are available to you. And our colleagues in the library are working really hard to make sure as much is available to you and you're aware of that as possible. So definitely make use of that. Eddie also mentions Google Scholar is really handy for finding research papers. So where you can find research papers there as well, you can also be able to pull up, if you can't get complete access to certain things, the chances are you might be able to through your library logon. So you can look at that as a potential option for you as well. So next up from Eddie then is get to know your VLE, so get to know your virtual learning environment. So in the UL case, for the majority of students, that's Solus. And one of the things that I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that we've been in this online environment, and that my colleagues Deirdre and Jessie are aware of, is that there's a lot of questions that students might have that in fact they can answer for one another, that you and your classmates could answer for one another. So where you have options within the VLE, within your modules, of being able to use the chats function or the forums function, by all means use them within the class. If your module leader has made them available within the site, then that's a really good way for you to be able to discuss over and back and actually to answer some of your questions. So definitely help one another out and use some of those tools that are available within Solus over these couple of weeks. The fourth thing that Eddie recommends is set aside a space. So try to work from one desk and set it up like you were setting it up in the library for a study stint, or wherever your usual study space might be if you are actually physically in UL. Also noting that hunching over your laptop in bed is not the way to go. And no, it's definitely not the way to go. So set yourself up in a kind of a formalized way, and it'll help with your routine and your structure as well. So fifth, keep in touch with your classmates. And this is really, really important. And I think it's no more than us keeping in contact with our colleagues. Things can feel a little bit isolated at the moment, a little bit kind of unusual. And also we all have a lot to get over the line in the next couple of weeks. So where you've got all of your assessments to get over the line, as well as like have those conversations with your classmates, or study groups that you might have been in for projects and things like that. So, you know, by all means, create those networks for yourselves, because there's nothing wrong with doing it, and it can only help at this point. So Eddie says, whether it's a WhatsApp group chat or via email or via your VLE, keep chatting, having fun and sharing your study tips and resources. And you need to replace those informal chats over coffee. So, you know, even grab the cup of coffee, grab the cup of tea, get onto one of the video conferencing options that are available, and have a chat with a couple of your friends, just to see each other. And also you might get some queries and you know, questions that you have about assessments that's coming up. You might figure some of that stuff out, some of those questions out with each other as well. Sixth one, ask for help. If you need clarification on anything, reach out to your lecturer or your classmates. That's linked to point 5, I think, as well. Don't be afraid to set up a tutorial if it's offered. So anything that students might, or that lecturers or teaching assistants or tutors are offering at the moment that are over and above in order to help you while you're in this environment, get stuck into them. Take all of the options that are being put to you. They're offerings that are there for a reason, that should try and transition you through this period, which is that bit unusual for all of us. So by all means, anything that's put out there, grasp it. But similarly, if you're sitting with questions for more than, you know, if you've got questions and it's going on for a day or more, reach out to your lecturer, reach out to your classmates, and to help yourself out and to not cause any angst for yourself. Seventh then, try and set up those discussion groups with classmates, which we've kind of already touched on. And, you know, Zoom or Teams through Microsoft are really, really good way to see one another and to chat things through. Again, all of benefit to you when trying to figure stuff out over the weeks. So the 8th one, don't let technical issues hold you back. Also, I would say don't let them hold you back, but also don't allow them to waste time for you. Because you know you are going to have a range of work to get over the line in the next while. So communicate via chat if your microphone breaks. Have a pen and paper to hand if the internet is down, and don't allow the easy excuse to beat you. And then lastly, and I think really importantly, for all of you and for all of us that are in this space together, be good to each other. This transition, this move has happened very, very quickly. So Eddie has said your lecturer might not have all the answers you require yet, but they will get there. They're working really hard at the moment. Same goes for you and your classmates. Be kind and understanding. We're all in this situation together. We'll all come out of it together. But it's really important that we look after one another while we're here. And lastly then, for queries regarding your modules, your module leader is going to be the best source of information. For broader student queries, you're going to see some queries on the under frequently asked questions section of the student engagement and success webpage, and we're updating that regularly. And if you want to make contact with my colleague Deirdre, you can. Deirdre is the first year support coordinator, and Jessie is the librarian for student engagement and success. So they're both options for you to contact with queries as well. So take care of one another, and we'll touch base with you again over the next week or so.